Hello, my friends. Let's talk about the astrology for the super full moon that's on September 29th. It's at 6 degrees of Aries. So early in the sign of Aries, when the moon is in a fire sign, it expresses, let's put that as a word, it expresses a lot of dynamic and a lot of energy and a lot of fire. The Aries energy of this full moon is encouraging us it's giving us opportunities to be courageous, right? Giving us opportunities to speak up for ourselves, giving us opportunities to take action. And these are some of the keywords, and these are some of the things that we may embody ourselves. We may be feeling the need for some of that energy that I just mentioned. And we may see it in others around us. And they're the ones that are encouraging us to take steps forward, encouraging us to speak up, to have that conversation that is necessary. What I want to do right now for you guys is, first off, I want to share the screen because I like to do that so you get to see the astrology. And don't worry, don't be worried here. I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. You don't have to be able to read this at all. All right. We're talking about, this is what it looks like when we have a full moon. The moon and the sun are always in an opposite position. They're always 180 degrees away from each other. Now, the cool thing about this one, here's just the physicality of it, not even the metaphysical or spiritual implications of a full moon in Aries. I'm on the East Coast of the United States, and this full moon on September 29th is just before 6 a.m. This line right here is the horizon. And you can see that the sun is below the horizon and the moon is above the horizon. What that means, I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to make you glaze over. What this means is at the time of the full moon, supermoon, meaning the moon is big and gorgeous, when it gets near the setting position or the rising position, we always look at the full moon when it rises, and it's big and it's huge, and there's just photographs like you wouldn't believe, it's just phenomenal stuff. Well, the same thing is true when the moon is setting. And since the peak of this full moon is early in the morning before sunrise, for everybody, at least in North America, USA, Canada, it's before sunrise. That's what this represents, because this is sunrise right here. That's the horizon. I know east is in an opposite position than a compass in astrology. There's another lesson for you. So go outside, or at least I can see it from my kitchen window. I'm on the second floor, and I could see it from my kitchen window. West is a great view. I don't have a view at all east, but I have a west view. I can't wait to see it, weather permitting, fingers crossed. It's going to be big. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be phenomenal. Check it out. No matter where you live, especially North America, you can go and you can, whatever time the full moon is, even if you're in the Pacific time zone, which is 3 hours before this, so 3 in the morning ish, you can still go out at just before sunrise and see this moon big and gorgeous and huge setting in the west. Don't miss that opportunity, especially if you have a view, and especially if the weather's good. All right. So this is what I wanted to talk about a little more. Let's get into this, because besides this full moon in Aries and all of those things I just mentioned, which represent, I need to do a new share. I think I need to do a new share. Yes. And so with that being said, I want you to think about more with this moon in the fire sign of Aries. I already gave you some keywords. You can scroll back if you want to listen to that when we're done. Again, this is impulsive as well, right? It's fiery. And those of us who have like moons that are in an earth sign or an air sign, if you know what yours is, we're a little more either analytical if it's an air sign, or earthy. Mine's in an earth sign, very grounded. When the moon moves through fire signs every month, 4 times, but when it's an event like this, a full moon, a super full moon, it amps up that fiery energy and that impulsive nature. As I'm not comfortable being impulsive, I have to process and I'm slow to go. But I can be impulsive once in a while, but this is really impulsive, but it's not my nature to be that way. And if you have a moon that's earthy or in an air sign, you might not be either. So you would have to know about that. But in the meantime, the general overall energy of this is some of us will feel invigorated by this because we have a moon that's either emotional in a water sign, if we're born with that, or we might be born with one that's in a fire sign. It just creates a lot more. It just adds to the dynamic that you already have. The fire and the water sign moons are more visibly emotional. The air sign moons and the earth sign moons, we tend to be a little more, it's a little more internal before it's external. Okay. When we have a full moon, especially being it's a super moon, the ruler of this moon, the moon is in Aries, and the planet that is in charge of that in the natural chart is Mars. Mars is in Libra. The sun is in Libra. So this is like a tug of war back and forth. However, this can also be that we want to constructively channel and move into finding some balance and harmony in our lives. And that's what this full moon in Libra represents. We need balance. We need harmony. We want things to feel more equal, right? Just this equilibrium that we might not have. So emotions run high, emotions come to the surface when we have this full moon in the sign of Aries. How else can we use it? I want you just to be really authentic, right? And I don't think we can not be authentic when it comes to an Aries moon, because when we have that Aries moon, we're impulsive, and we say exactly what we feel we want to say. It just comes out of us. It's most likely, I remember personally a relationship that ended because something I said. It's like, if you're not happy, we can just, this can be it. And that was that. And then it was like, how could I ever have said that? But I did. It was what I wanted to begin with. But sometimes we hang on to things that we don't like change. Who likes change? Nobody. Not too many of us anyways. A few do. I mean, I've learned from that. This was decades ago, but I've learned from that point. And the wonderful thing is it creates personal growth, because then it's a catalyst. Sometimes you just say something that you've been thinking about, and you're like, oh, I didn't have the courage to say it, but it just came out of my mouth. Was that even me? And it was, but it made a difference, and it's a catalyst to get us moving in another direction. It's an opportunity. We might not see it as an opportunity right away when we just spill everything to whomever that we're needing to express our emotions to, because the sun is in Libra and Mars is in Libra, and that energy, here they are, the south node is in Libra, right? So collectively we're learning about taking our own steps and being collectively, being individuals. However, we're looking at this south node in Libra, Mars in Libra. Mars rules Aries, so he's in charge here. He's got a lot to say right now too. And this is the next lunar event we have on October 14th is a new moon eclipse in the sign of Libra, right where Mars is during the full moon in Aries on September 29th. I know that's a lot of astrology for some of you who have basic knowledge, but in essence, they're coming together. We are just 2 weeks away at the time of this full moon on September 29th. We're only 2 weeks from a new moon eclipse. And then 2 more weeks after that, we have another full moon eclipse. And this new moon eclipse in October, I'm going to put that up super early because there's a lot to say about that too. But the point is like, we have so much going on here that there's a ton of adjustments that are happening. They are initiated just before this full moon on September 29th. There's a lot of things. That's another video I'm going to put out too about all the quincunxes over the next few weeks. So full moon in Aries is just the final straw to get things moving and to get things moving forward. It's a unique situation. Now, let me take a breath here. I know I've talked fast. I want you to go to my website, and you can either join the website, or on the website, you can join the newsletter. I only send it out twice a month. I have nothing that is like no automated big funnel, anything. It's just me. And so you're welcome to go to my website and read the blog. It's about 1,500 words. You can either join the website and you're notified when I post the blog, or you can join the newsletter and I will send it to your inbox, which will send you to the blog. So please join us there. I would appreciate that if you haven't done that yet. And yeah, so let's get on to the lunar gestation cycle, because I love working with that. That's a 3-year cycle that starts with the new moon, and every 9 months in 9-month increments, new moon first quarter, full moon last quarter, back to a new moon. All of those takes 3 years, 9-month increments. And when we have those 9-month increments, when we get to a full moon, that means we're 18 months from where we had a new moon. And the new moon is when we initiated something that is coming to a head at this point in time. That's why it's important. I work really in depth with this over in my Patreon platform if you'd like to join us over there. Links are everywhere. And for those of you, Patreon gets to see this first. So they're wondering, why am I saying that? Patreon gets this first at level 2. Level 3 and 4 is where all of this extra stuff comes in. But in the meantime, that new moon we had, which is associated with the full moon on September 29th, 2023. The new moon we had was on April 1st, 2022. It was at 11 degrees of Aries. I want you to go back. I want you to look at what was going on that new moon for you. What did you initiate on that point, in that point, those new moons? This is why it's so important to journal and to write about what's going on at every new moon. So back on April 1st, 2022, 11 degrees of Aries was a new moon that is directly connected to the full moon forecast that I'm talking about today. What did you initiate? What did you begin? 9 months after that, we had the first quarter moon. Now, some calendars will call this the second quarter. I call it the first. It's the same thing. It's when the sun and the moon are at 90 degrees. The moon as well at a similar area, 6 degrees of Aries. At that point, this is when we are working hard towards something, that square between the full moon and the new moon. Yeah, that's halfway between the new moon and the full moon. There we go. First quarter, working hard towards things. Whatever we initiated at the new moon is we're working at it. We're manifesting it. It takes hard work. We have to look at what's going on. Now, 9 months after that is where we are today. September 29th, full moon in Aries, 6 degrees. Again, at this point, everything that we've initiated back at the April new moon in 2022, what we were working on diligently when it came to that first quarter in December of 2022. And here we are now, 9 months later at the full moon in Aries. It's all come to a head. You're very much aware of what is going on, and you can take the steps towards the most important things in your life. It's Aries energy. So that means we're focusing on what is important for you and what, as an individual. Those are the things that we're most, that is most important to each and every one of us. So let me stop my share. That is where we're at this point in time. So now I want to also talk about the Venus-Uranus square is happening at the same time that we have this super moon. And again, the super moon is it's very powerful. It's so close to the planet. It is it's a signature to the next event, which is an eclipse. It's about partnerships and relationships. And it's about what you as an individual need. Are you getting what you need in those partnerships and relationships? Okay. Now, I know not everybody has a partnership and a relationship, but look at the dynamic. Again, it doesn't have to be that you live with somebody and you have a spouse or, domestic partner. It's any of those important relationships, whether it's the dynamic between you and your coworkers, you and your boss, individual, not groups, individual people. Look at that in your own life to see what it looks like for you. So the next event, since Venus was retrograde for a while, she's been in Leo for 4 months. She is making her third and final connection to Uranus. And I'm going to go grab that chart right now. Let's grab that chart. Here we are. So this is just about 6 hours after the new moon, after the full moon. So it's a different time of day. So you can see here's the full moon. It's moved. Look at that. The moon is now at 10 degrees, not 6 anymore. We're still in the new moon. I keep saying new moon. I meant full moon. We're still in the full moon phase. That'll last a few days. However, what we have, let me go and grab my toolbar here to show you. Here is Venus at 22 degrees of Leo, and she's making a 90-degree aspect over there to Uranus. And I mean, there's plenty of other aspects going on here, which I talk about in my weekly forecast over on Patreon. I do a very deep, in-depth level 3 on those things. But I did want to touch on base with this Venus square Uranus. And when we have that going on, you know, it's happened 2 other times. And the 2 other times that, let me grab my notes. The 2 other times that it did that was July 2nd and August 9th. So first off, look back to those dates in your own, for your own personal insight. What happened then? Pay attention to what was going on. What was the theme? And if you don't know, that's fine too. But those are 2 other times that Venus and Uranus were in a 90-degree angle with each other, a square. And now we're at that final aspect. All right. So Venus in Leo, Uranus in Taurus. This is important that, you know, since Venus is about what we love, what we value, right? It's our relationships. Venus is who we love and how we love, and our relationships. I just said that, but it's just, I want you to hear it deeply. It's what we're passionate about. It's our creativity, Venus and Leo as well. Doesn't always have to be about relationships, but it certainly can be. And again, it's our creativity. It's what we spend our money on, our beauty. All right. How we want to be recognized and seen in a relationship or in our community or in, you know, however we create, like especially if you're an artist, things like that. So Venus was retrograde from July 22nd to September 3rd. So in that time frame is when we will be making adjustments in recognition and realizations. With Uranus in the sign of Taurus, that, you know, of course, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. It's innovative, it's creative, it wants freedom. It's about finances, Taurus, technology, Uranus, architecture, agriculture. That's also the Taurus energy. There's a lot of disruptions in our security and our stability while Uranus is in Taurus. And that's been very true, especially since 2018. There's a lot going on there. Now, the square aspect that comes together like this during this super full moon is kind of a clash between our desires of what it is we love, what we want, and the need for stability and security. So these things that are coming together do create, you know, a sense of, you know, that just that feeling that things just aren't quite right. But we do get that with this final connection, we do get the feeling that there is absolutely something that we can bring to the table, something we can start to feel something stabilize just in some ways. I mean, you know, we have to compartmentalize. There's a lot of things going on. Excuse me. There's a lot of things going on in these charts. It's not just what I'm isolating here, but the isolation of certain aspects is something that we have to do when we're talking about a certain subject. But there is always a ton more happening, as you can see. I mean, just look at all these lines in here. There's just an awful lot going on. All right. So let me stop that share. And there we are. And so those are some of the things that we're looking at, you know, that fiery full moon in Aries on September 29th, coupled with, you know, that Venus in Leo and Uranus in Taurus square. So it's dynamic, it's transformational, it's quite the event for us to embrace some change. I want you to express how you feel. I want you to confront how you're feeling, those hidden emotions. It's important. The full moon in Aries is really going to encourage us to do that, you know, but communicating, we do have Mercury in Virgo, so communicating effectively is really important, but it's also important that we're open to innovative ideas, innovative thoughts, and, you know, just to create for ourselves, you know, this new dynamic where we've been feeling stuck. This is energy that I'm looking around. This is energy that's super important, that if you are feeling stuck, this is an opportunity. We have the cosmos is giving us an opportunity to take some steps forward. And it doesn't even have to come from the cosmos, because basically, well, it will, but because I'm an astrologer, but it comes from people around us. Because sometimes somebody will say something or do something, and it might upset us or piss us off, and then we do the opposite, but then it boomerangs and then it comes back around. It's that type of dynamic with this full moon, super full moon in a fire sign, Aries, ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Libra. He's not happy in that sign because he's got to work with partners and relationships, but he'd rather just do what he wants to do. And Mars conjunct the South Node in the astrology of the full moon chart, right where we're having an eclipse on the 14th. Yeah, it's at 21 degrees of Libra. This is really significant. This is why paying attention to this full moon and the actions you're taking, and even the things that stir up anger inside of you, it's important to ask why and look at why and move with that energy. It's not just a full moon. It is something that's really important. And then we have all of that stuff, you know, like second in line, Venus square Uranus, which is really full and busy and dynamic. And go read the forecast on my blog. And thank you, everybody. And I will leave us with that. Blessings and namaste.